dance to give romance a whirl. Then I break the chains of common sense. Say, baby, won't you be my girl? Would you meet me at the Friday dance and give romance a whirl? Let's take a chance on happiness. Say, baby, won't you be my girl? Won't you be my girl? I said, baby, won't you be my girl?
This is another open. Just keep it with 15.
Okay.
What is going on with these sunglasses? It's kind of creeping me out.
Dramatic fold out of Greg.
Is this actually our first hand versus the PokerBeast? Ooh, it is going to be. Let's see. I don't want to play this. All right, I got to shift out of my tournament mindset. We need to re-raise here. What's the standard we've been doing at this table? 50, 55? Yeah, we'll do something like that.
All right, so that is a 3-bet from the big blind. Interesting. And I have a pretty solid hand. I'm leaning towards 4-betting, but I don't need to make this ridiculous. If I 4-bet, it'll make my hand look quite strong. And I have position. I think I'm just gonna cook this one low and slow.
All right, probably should do a spade check, huh? Let's do a spade check. All right. So, how do we want to play this? Probably just going to continue and yeah, go from there. I don't see any value in checking, right? Yeah, let's go. What do we got out there? 120? Let's kind of keep it consistent with what we've been doing here and bet small. Yeah, $30, right? Yeah, that sounds good.
All right, so we went with a small sizing. This is a fantastic flop for me, and it's a fantastic flop in general because he was going to be playing 7 deuce. So he either has an overpair or not a lot going on. I think it's best if I just call though and reevaluate on the turn. I don't want to be re-raised. That would be a disaster for my draw.
I think that, what do I think we're supposed to do here first? I think that a lot of the time, this is like a check call, and then we kind of have to decide from there. Maybe he thinks we have some c-bet give-ups. Then he does also probably some backdoor spades, right? Call there. Some pairs. That for sure, you know, spades too, 8s, 9s, 10s. Definitely have some flushes here. I think that I am going to check. Yeah, I think that's what we're gonna do here.
So the fact that the board is paired makes it a little more complicated, but I'm sitting with quite a strong hand, and I want to start putting money in this pot. The fact that he checks it to me based off how he's been playing before, would indicate that maybe he's just willing to give up on the hand, or maybe it indicates that he's got a monster. But I lean more towards the fact that he's just kind of given up and waving the white flag. So a goal I always have is try to bet something that's aggressive but looks like a bluff. And usually when you go a little bit bigger, it looks a little more bluffy and you get a little bit more money in the pot. It's about 160 bucks in the pot right now. So I think I'm just gonna check to him and then try to take a stab on the river.
Okay. So, queen on the river. Probably, I don't see, he's a cash game player. Tournament players might check turn. So, he just doesn't have a flush here, right? And if he thinks that I have some sort of drawing hand and he happened to have a boat or something, he is going to, want to bet this turn. I think he's going to want to bet this turn a lot, so when he checks, he's maybe just trying to get there. Question is, does he kind of have nothing? Should I check to get a bet or bet? I think the turn check feels quite weak. Then again, though, it's I just hate to see 8s and 9s, 10s check river. I would hate to see that, that's the thing. So I think that I hate to see those check the river. It's just is that mostly what he has here.
I think the action's on him, but I'm not sure.
Interesting. I wonder if that's a tell. A little anxious. I think that I am. Gosh, I could check for ace. He's got a bit of queen. If he had ace queen, ace of spades. Without, I really don't know what to do here. I'm going to. I think I'm out of position. I'm gonna bet. What's a third of the pot here? 125, 156. I'm gonna probably bet about 100 here, I think. Yeah, let's do that.
All right, well, I'm not really used to playing deep stack poker, and so all these decisions are way more important. And you got a lot more chips to lose. The only thing I'm really losing to is 7 deuce or a few pocket pairs. I think the safe bet is to call, especially since I checked the turn and trying to induce his bluff, and now I'm kind of assuming that he doesn't have anything. But I also think that maybe he has ace queen, maybe he has 7-6 and feels like it's good. And I think I do need to go for value here. It opens up the door to where I can get bluffed and pushed off. But he would have to put out a big bet, and it opens the door for me losing extra money just for getting greedy. I try to never get greedy at the poker table, but go for 300.
300 is the bet.
Interesting. So why, unless he maybe fills up on, unless he thinks I'm super weak, checks turn, hoping I hit a spade. Yeah, so that he could, what did I bet, 100 into 1? So it's not like it's a tiny, tiny bet. Can have queens still. Flush. Jeez, I just don't know why we wouldn't have bet turn. That's the thing. He could think ace queen is good. It's kind of sketchy though. Maybe he has ace queen off with the ace of spades. I don't know that. I think we're kind of maybe just too high up. We don't block any spades. Would he ace two suited? Would he check turn ace two suited? No, I just feel like the turn check man is just. Yeah, we might just be too high up to fold here. And we just call. Yeah, I feel like you just got a bet turn, right? I think the turn check is going to get him paid off here if he has SB. Yeah. Yep.
No good.
All right, small suited connector. I think we should have a little bit of fun with this and throw in a 3-bet against probably the strongest player at the table. Scary, but here we go.
$55.
Oh, I thought I was about to get impregnated there. Woo. All right. So Kato hasn't been particularly 3-bet happy, but I think that this hand is pretty reasonable to continue. We're now sitting pretty reasonably deep here, something like 260 bigs, I think. I think 4-betting does have some merit, but he's just sitting on all the chips, and I think that there is a lot of potential for him to just not find folds that he might normally find, and I think that's a little bit problematic for a hand like this. So with position, with fairly deep stacks, I'm just gonna go to the flop.
So obviously I completely missed this flop, and I was thinking about checking, but I think I'm just gonna do what these online pros do and just throw like some extremely small amount in. And maybe he doesn't have, maybe he has the exact same hand.
15.
Okay, so Ace King Jack is a board that is obviously going to connect very hard with both of our ranges. He of course can have aces, kings, ace king, probably ace jack. I can have probably not ace king all that often, if ever. I can have ace jack, I can have king jack, I can have queen 10. And that's potentially going to become relevant later in the hand, seeing as I have a blocker to queen 10, making it harder for him to block queen 10. And I do only have second pair in a gutter right now, so I think that facing this really tiny size, given how many strong hands he has, it doesn't really make sense to raise here without a heart in hand, which I don't believe I have. And instead just play it for the small bit of showdown value that I have. I think it's also very possible that he would play queens and tens this way at some frequency. And who really knows what his 3-bet range looks like here, but there's probably some other stuff in it too. And so hands like queen jack suited, jack 10 suited may well just take this size, sort of trying to set their price. But I have a hand that doesn't really mind that too much because I'm mostly blocking, you know, the ways that he can get really strong with those types of holdings. I also don't really want to just stuff in blinds when the times that he does have top 2 sets. So I think I'm going to call and start to evaluate turns and rivers.
All right, this hand is getting ridiculous. I have absolutely nothing. It's probably one of the most connected cards that could come. And I'm tempted to take another stab at it.
So I was actually wrong. I do have a heart, which means I'm now currently drawing to the first royal of my life. I've never hit one. It's an interesting card because he still has aces, kings in range, ace, king, ace, jack in range, and I only block kings of those holdings, but it also doesn't seem like he would value bet a lot of hands that are worse than a boat here twice. I at least think he should be worried about a jack. Maybe he's not actually in practice worried. He should also be worried about flushes. He doesn't have ace queen with the queen of hearts because I have the queen of hearts. So the problem here though is that his value hands that are strong are just so ridiculously nutted that I'm not sure if I can really turn this hand into a bluff. I mean, I probably get him to fold some stuff, but it may well be mostly hands I'm beating anyway. I'm not so sure how often he goes for the size with like ace 10. I think he probably slows down with any weaker ace X in range. It's a weird spot. I don't think we're allowed to fold yet, but I feel like we're gonna just end up having to fold the river a lot. But I think that's okay with this exact holding. We still have ways that we can kind of catch up that are, you know, a little disguised. The gross part is going to be like if the three of hearts rolls off and he just like pots it. We're probably not allowed to fold our hand, but we're going to lose the hand a lot. And so I'm trying to figure out if there's any way I can fold right now, but I can't really imagine that there is. He bets so small on flop as well. So this bet is larger relative to the pot than I would think, but let's figure that out real quick. Probably 260 going to the river. Yeah, I like call. I think our hand's just too good still against this sizing. But we're gonna have to be pretty wary on rivers against big sizes.
So sitting here with the complete opposite of what's on the board, I feel like I could probably take this pot down if I commit like $300 or something to it, but I just have no interest. I'm ready to give this one up. He'd be able to find a lot of calls, and he could easily be sitting with like the queen of hearts. So I'm just gonna check this one.
Okay.
So it's kind of funny when you're talking about a specific river, and it's basically that exact river that rolls off. When he checks, I think that I have the best hand a pretty high fraction of the time. But the question is, how often does he have a hand where if I bet and my hand is good, he actually calls? And how often is he just sandbagging aces and kings and jacks here? Because he still has those in range when he checks. I think it's actually a really nice spot for him to check those hands at least some frequency of the time, because a decent amount of my continuing range on turn will have the queen of hearts in it, will have the 10 of hearts in it. Now, I'm probably never value betting just the raw 10 of hearts here, even with a reasonable blocker. But I think that some players, I think a lot of players will sort of take this spot with aces and kings as a check, jacks as a check, and just hoping that I find bets so they can check raise. And getting check raise here is pretty disastrous. We still sort of like block strong hands, but we probably are just forced to fold, and folding that out is pretty miserable. Although it's really hard for him to find bluffs on the river, so maybe it's not as disastrous as I think. So maybe getting check raise is not as big of an issue as I was initially thinking. The real problem might just be, do we actually get called by worse often enough to make a value bet better than checking back our showdown? Because, I mean, obviously this is a good river for hand, but he still has so many strong hands in range. And so if he won't, if the range he continues with is not worse 50% of the time or more, then we can't value bet. Potentially we could do some like really small size. I think that might target ace 10 off with specifically 10 of hearts, but we're starting to get into really thin territory there. It's only a few combos. Yeah, I'm just, I mean, I feel like an insane nit here, but I just don't think we can get value here on a 4 flush. It's almost, I mean, we almost like kill our action by getting there kind of thing. I'm just gonna check.
Check.
Okay. Okay. So I think what's interesting about that showdown is that it's very easy to see that and be like, wow, Matt, you should have bet because his range is wider than you thought, which it is wider than I thought, although it's not a lot wider than I thought. And what I think is missed there is that just because he shows up with 4-3 of spades doesn't mean that a high fraction of his range can actually call a bet. A lot of his hands that are like that, where he's really reaching pre-flop and stepping out of line, just can't actually give action to our bet anyway. Now, maybe he has a few small flushes. That could be where I potentially do miss value. Something like, I don't know, 10-9 of hearts, 9-8 of hearts. But those hands are also, they hate the run out. And I still have boats in range as well. So I think even with that info, I'm still pretty happy with that check back.
Trying to make you proud, Courtney.
What do we got here? I've seen this hand before. All right, so we're opening. Yep.
I'll defend with a suited queen.
12.
So it's $10 to win, 35 at the moment. And I think that we may have enough implied odds if we flop a hand like trips or, a straight draw. But that's effectively the only things that we can ever continue with this hand. So I'm pretty sure neither of them, well, I think it's just a fold. I think we can be tight and fold here, but want to play a hand for the stream one time.
That's what we like to see. The old ace, eh? Now, how do we want to play? So value bet some queen X, queen jack, all right, queen 10 suited. Of course I have ace X. If I bet, I think I'm forced into a bet check line a lot. Yeah, I don't think I like that. Just that thought alone, I think makes me want to, yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and check this one.
Check.
All right, I've checked a little fast on the flop. Didn't mention my reasoning. It's because I'm almost always checking the flop. And once again, I've drilled another hand, but I think this time I need to go ahead and bet. And it's gonna have to stay small because he probably has quite the weak hand, judging by the lack of the c-bet.
15.
All right, so he bet 15 into 35. He's got ace X. The question is, does he bet a queen X on this turn, completely discredit me from having an ace X? That is really the question. Pretty unlikely. He's got like king jack, king 10. So yeah, big question. Is he maybe some flush draw? You know what I mean? Let me see what I got here again. Okay, king of spades. Part of me wants to small bet ace X, out of position now. I don't know. Gosh, I'm so back and forth between my tournament brain and my measly cash game brain. Let's see, I think, yeah, I just don't think we're folding here. But we will be in a spot a lot of the time on the river. All right, we're gonna just start with call.
With all the draws that are on the board, I definitely think if he had a better hand, he would have raised on the turn. And it's really hard to know what he has that would have made the call on the turn other than possibly a draw. So I think I'm gonna send this one his way and bluff catch. Actually, I think I'm gonna do a small bet to try to induce him to a bluff.
Fine.
This is like death by 1,000 cuts here. I mean, my gosh, I don't even have to. I kind of don't want to have my hand to call here, right? That's the thing. All of the bluffs, and I just don't think he's value betting a queen, especially if he thinks I'm on a draw. You know, he probably wants to check call a queen, right? And yeah, most of his bluffs, oh, Jack 10. You know, it could be a bluff here. Sizing. Gosh, I'm so bad at cash games. I'm probably just gonna pay it off, right? Might as well. Might as well. All right. Yeah. You're so funny, Drew. Payoff master.
Draw. 2 pair, queens and sixes.
Ooh, that's a good hand.
Break it.
Action on me in the low jack. Nope.
Survey says raise.
15.
Okay, this hand could go both ways here. 3-betting would be totally reasonable. And I'm kind of leaning toward that just because of the dynamic that Drew and I have built. I even think that potentially calling a 4-bet wouldn't be outrageous, but cross that bridge. I think going at least 4x out of position here makes sense. I don't think we need to go 5x. Yeah, I'm gonna go just a little over at 65.
$65 is that?
Easy.
Flop a gut shot here. Probably gonna check call here.
Check.
He should be connecting with this board. He should also be checking a lot here. We have a pretty good hand on this board with middle pair and a gut shot to a straight. We have to be careful to not overplay our hand, however. He may also, I mean, we unblock clubs and whatnot, so he could have that as well. I mean, I don't really think there's much to analyze here. We're just going to bet half pot, I think.
15.
Half pot bet. We're just gonna defend our ace high here and our gut shot. If he's representing a jack, king shouldn't be good for him. No, shit, hold on. Do I have a double gutter? got a double gutter here. Any 9 gives me a straight. Any queen gives me a straight. So he's representing a jack here, or he has a jack here. I think I might lead out here actually. Take the aggression with my my equity, and we'll bear a river. Hopefully we improve, but I think enough aggression here. I can get him off. Any one pair hand.
So purely in terms of, I guess, ranges, not that I'm an expert on them or anything, but this card is supposed to be a lot better for me than it is for him. So it's really interesting to see him lead out on it. I think that he could, with that said, he could still have a king here, no problem, like a king with a low kicker and whatnot. I just don't see why he would lead it, right? Like if he has a king, wouldn't he just check, call, potentially even raise? But I don't really see him leading out for value here a lot. So I'm gonna tread carefully. We have a gut shot to a really strong straight. I think if we river like 2 pair, it's gonna be pretty bad because 9-8 is gonna be shit because he has a lot of 10s here too. And yeah, I just don't really see myself folding at the moment. This doesn't seem like a very, bluff heavy, this doesn't seem like a very value heavy spot for him, but he could also be using the fact that I know that and using that against me. I also have a relatively tight image, so for him to do this, it's a little peculiar if he's assuming that, I'm supposed to have one of these kings. So I don't know. I think that I'm just going to call here and evaluate a river.
Question here is, do we go for do we turn this into a bluff, or do we have enough equity? Do we have enough showdown value here? I guess the question is, am I ahead or am I behind? Not really sure if I can rep a 9 at this. I'm not really sure if I can rep a 9 here. Does any jack call though to a sizable river bet? I think I am behind. I feel like he has Jack X or something, and if not Jack X, at least he has some draw that missed. It would suck to just check and then he check back and show a Jack when I could have gone off with that. I think there's just so many draws out there. Misdraw or Jack, misdraw or Jack. This is where understanding ranges really fucking help. I think I'm gonna go ahead and turn into this. I'm gonna go ahead and bet. Feels like he only has 1 pair hand that can't withstand too much pressure here, so I'm gonna go ahead and bet.
100.
So he bets 100 on this river. We river a straight. I don't think it's really much of a decision if he has queen 9 or ace queen. He should not have ace queen. I think that he'd be 3-betting it quite a lot versus, like almost 100% versus a button open, although again, maybe he sees me as tight enough. But I don't really see him betting that turn with queen 9 or with ace queen. I think that it's possible that he had a club draw and hit a pair and now is actually thinks that he's betting for value. I think that could be a thing. But I don't know. I don't really want to go into the, I obviously just have a call here. I don't really need to go into how this hand played, and I don't really want to nit roll him or anything, so I'm just gonna put in the call.
Straight.
10.
Straight.
Wow. Nice hand.
This is an easy fold.
Fuck him.
15.
I think he was just angle doing that quickly, and it's not like an easy open, but I'm still folding because my hand's too shit. I said out loud, I said you were angle quick raising because your hand wasn't good and you wanted to make it look good. I swear, but my hand's not good enough to call anyway. Yo, I'm reading you like a book today, yo.
The fucking goat.
Let's fucking go. Let's go.